What's up, everyone? Dustin Davis here, your source for all things Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions stayed silent when it mattered most. As the November 4th trade deadline approached, anticipation built around potential moves that could fortify a roster with legitimate championship aspirations. Instead, the front office chose restraint over reinforcement, betting on continuity while watching divisional rivals and conference competitors strengthen their rosters with impact acquisitions. The decision to stand pat carries significant weight for an organization that has rebuilt credibility and cultivated genuine Super Bowl hopes. General Manager Brad Holmes and head coach Dan Campbell have constructed something special in Detroit. But internal confidence may not be enough when postseason matchups demand depth and versatility. The Lions are trusting what they already have, even as weaknesses remain visible and exploitable. Whether this calculated patience proves wise or costly won't be known until January. Let's check out everything that happened in the last few hours. Before we continue, may I ask for your support? If you like what we're sharing, just take a second to hit that like button. It really helps us. Thank you. Detroit's 27-24 home defeat to Minnesota at Ford Field had exposed critical vulnerabilities just days earlier. That loss underscored the urgency many believed would drive Holmes toward aggressive deadline maneuvering. Defensive gaps and offensive inconsistencies were evident against a division opponent, yet the general manager maintained his measured stance as the deadline expired without significant Detroit involvement. Holmes has built substantial organizational credibility. The Lions' 5-3 record represents a remarkable turnaround for a franchise historically defined by disappointment. Alongside Campbell, Holmes has reconstructed not just the roster, but the competitive culture surrounding it. That track record justifies some degree of restraint, yet restraint inherently accepts risk. The front office could have pursued targeted reinforcements to complement established core players without dismantling team chemistry. Instead, Holmes prioritized internal cohesion, a strategy that preserves existing relationships but creates uncertainty about whether current personnel can withstand the physical and strategic demands of a playoff run. Without additional pass rush reinforcements, significant pressure returns to Hutchinson and Detroit's defensive front. Opponents will repeatedly test that unit, and the absence of quality rotational options makes game planning more predictable for opposing coordinators. Hutchinson's continued development remains encouraging, and trusting core personnel is defensible, but only if the coaching staff can consistently extract maximum performance under increasingly difficult circumstances. Social media reactions came swiftly. Detroit cornerback DJ Reed, who previously played for the Jets, responded with the brief "bro" and multiple surprised emojis on X. Gardner himself posted a concise farewell, "New York, it's been real." The trade reshapes AFC dynamics and indirectly influences NFC strategic calculations, yet Detroit chose careful roster management over pursuing headline-grabbing talent when the opportunity existed. While Detroit watched others make moves, the front office's restraint quietly opened doors for players already on the roster. Widespread expectations suggested Detroit would actively pursue deadline upgrades, with fans vocally demanding reinforcements. Instead, the Lions maintained their existing roster, while other organizations executed surprising, franchise-altering deals. That decision to preserve continuity will be received differently throughout the locker room. Some players will recognize opportunity where supporters see stagnation. Veteran depth lineman Kayode Awosika emerged as perhaps the clearest beneficiary. The team's decision to forego outside offensive line help directly elevates Awosika's role, particularly if injury concerns persist along the front. Pressure to upgrade the offensive line intensified following Christian Mahogany's injury. Additional concerns surrounded both Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell entering Week 10. Acquiring a versatile veteran would have provided crucial insurance, yet obtaining starter-caliber linemen at this stage without surrendering significant draft capital is exceptionally difficult. That market reality created opportunity for Awosika and fellow interior backup Tristan Colin. With Mahogany unavailable, these two represent the primary healthy options behind the starting unit. Should Sewell or Decker miss time, contingency plans include Dan Skipper stepping in. If the coaching staff chooses to shift Graham Glasgow to left guard, Colin could transition to center, though the simpler solution may involve sliding Awosika into the left guard position. When Mahogany exited in Week 9, Awosika entered for 12 snaps. Pro Football Focus assigned him respectable grades, a 62.9 overall mark and an 80.6 pass blocking score despite limited action. Those numbers, while representing a small sample size, suggest he can handle expanded responsibilities if circumstances demand it. Rather than disrupting line continuity by integrating an unfamiliar face, the coaching staff can maintain established chemistry by promoting from within. If Detroit resists wholesale changes, Awosika's opportunity to start and stabilize the interior line could become a decisive subplot throughout the season's second half. At 27 years old, he now has a clear chance to demonstrate he's more than just depth, and the Lions will need every reliable body if injuries continue mounting. Yet among all the names discussed internally, two Pro Bowl guards represented the most painful missed opportunities of them all. Detroit's offensive front appeared disorganized during the Week 1 matchup against Green Bay. Although the unit has shown improvement since that early season struggle, the line still represented a clear upgrade opportunity as the November trade window approached its close. ESPN's Bill Barnwell identified Detroit's line in his October 30 trade guide, highlighting edge rush and secondary needs while questioning whether the Lions should add depth up front. That assessment framed a sensible strategy. If high-quality tackle options weren't available, targeting a proven guard who excelled in both run and pass situations could have delivered more value with less disruption. The deadline has since passed, and those opportunities are now permanently off the table. Barnwell referenced the precarious situation that emerged when Giovanni Manu temporarily filled in for Taylor Decker before landing on injured reserve with a knee problem. That sequence exposed Detroit's thin contingency planning at tackle and illustrated why internal depth alone might prove insufficient for a team harboring Super Bowl aspirations. The warning went unheeded. Joel Bitonio, the elite option that got away. Cleveland Browns guard Joel Bitonio stood out as an elite interior option that Detroit reportedly considered but never seriously pursued. A 7-time consecutive Pro Bowler, Bitonio has consistently produced at both run and pass blocking, and Barnwell included him among Cleveland's notable trade possibilities. At 34 and in the final year of his contract, Bitonio would have represented a high-impact, shorter-term acquisition had the Browns been willing to part with him, particularly if he had requested a trade. The deadline closed with Bitonio still in Cleveland and Detroit still looking for answers. Wyatt Teller was another interior lineman whose contract expires after the season and could have represented a longer-term solution. Rumors suggest that Teller might have been the type of acquisition that could eventually replace Mahogany in the long run, while Bitonio would have been the plug-and-play veteran to stabilize the unit immediately. Detroit needed to weigh the short-term benefit of Bitonio against the potential multi-year upside of someone like Taylor. Instead, they chose neither. Detroit looked positioned to be active before the deadline closed. The club is the 2-time reigning NFC North champion, carries legitimate Super Bowl aspirations, and reportedly had nearly $25.5 million in available salary cap space as of the Friday before the deadline. With documented gaps at edge, in the secondary, and along the offensive line, many analysts expected Detroit to pursue upgrades in at least one, if not two of those areas before time expired. The resources were there. The needs were evident. The opportunities existed. Detroit simply chose not to act, and those Pro Bowl caliber guards who could have transformed the offensive line are now permanent what-ifs in the 2024 season's narrative. Would Joel Bitonio or Wyatt Teller have been game changers for Detroit's offensive line? Did the Lions make a massive mistake by not pursuing these Pro Bowl guards when they had the cap space and the need? Could one of these veterans have been the difference between a playoff exit and a Super Bowl run? Share your opinion in the comments. Do you think Detroit will regret passing on these elite options? Support the channel by leaving a like and subscribing. Stay one step ahead with all the latest on Lions. See you in the next one.